woke up on a good Friday morning and didn't have a job. Well, hey everyone, I'm Dr. Ben, and welcome to the Andrew Adventure. And what an adventure it is. A little bit about myself. I am a dad of four. Typically, you'll see my kids right next to me on these videos. They're off at grandmom's right now. God bless them. I am a husband of 17 years. Shout out to my wonderful wife, Sierra. I'm also the chief of safety and emergency management in the federal government with the Department of Veterans Affairs. Or I should say, I was the chief of safety. I'm also a military veteran. In fact, I got my start in the safety field right after I left the military in 2011. I started from the bottom, literally. Started working at a NASA facility down in New Orleans, Louisiana, my hometown. Shout out to New Orleans, and worked my way up. I became a safety supervisor in San Diego. I also joined the team over with the county of Riverside. And then from there, went to a private sector, worked my way from director, senior director, vice president. And I was very fortunate and blessed to land a role as the chief of safety and emergency management with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, my job in the Department of the VA was to ensure the safety of all of the doctors, nurses, the occupational health and safety of all of the clinical staff, but more so my fellow veterans out there. I had a great team of environmental managers, also life safety specialists, industrial hygienists, a great team, a great group of people. However, I was the most junior in terms of the time in the VA, as I have about 10 months, give or take, just about 10 months. So being that I was the most junior, I'm in my probation status. Being that I'm within my first year and the cutbacks start to happen when the Trump administration took over, because I'm a probationary employee, no longer employed. I woke up on a great Friday morning only to find a letter that says, "Peace, you've been fired." And some say layoff, but the letter we received, it says it's related to performance, which is totally absurd because I had all outstanding marks in every category. This was not related to performance. Therefore, it's going to be very difficult to get unemployment. I don't think you can get unemployment if you're fired for a performance related ordeal. So hopefully, they can look at that. Nevertheless, woke up on a good Friday morning and didn't have a job. I thought I'd make this video because there's a lot of uncertainty out there. And there's also a lot of miscommunication, a lot of misinterpretation, and there's also a lot of callous people who truly just don't care. There are some people who are happy federal employees are being laid off. Somehow we are being demonized at this time, and we're the bad guys and wasteful dollars and DEI. And listen, I have an MBA. I'm a doctor in education. I am also a certified professional in my field, very qualified for the role I was in, certainly overqualified for the role I was in. However, because there is nobility behind what we do, there is a noble cause to serve my fellow veterans. And my mom, she was a VA employee for about 30 years. It was deeper than just having a job and wasteful dollars. No, this is, for some people, it's fulfillment. For some, it's a source of security with benefits and so on. I wanted to make this video not to beg for a job back. This is not a plea. Mom didn't raise us that way. We're good to go. Me and my family will be all right. More so, this video is intended to give some federal employees out there some context to inspire you to truly keep your eyes open and do something where you are. I know there's this limbo feeling, and when you have a family, when you have mouths to feed and bills to pay, you can't truly be in limbo, and there has to be some type of certainty in your life in order for you to be successful and in order for you to have a measure of peace and continuity in your household. So, my message to all federal employees is during this administration, whether you voted for Donald Trump or not, there are people who press the button for Donald Trump and they receive the boot as well. A lot of them are crying out right now. Listen, you got to look at this from a business perspective. I am a business professor, so I understand. I understand. It's numbers. The problem is these numbers are people, their lives, their families. For all of the federal employees out there, all of the veterans who are in the federal workforce, all of the people who may be concerned about how this economy may progress and so on, these 5 tips may help you out. All right. Update your resume, especially federal employees. Make sure your resume is updated. Record those critical things that you've been doing, those accomplishments, all of the great stuff that you do to serve the country. If you're in the VA, those great things you're doing to serve the veterans. I knew some phenomenal people in the service of our veterans who are making far less below what they are worth in the private sector. I was one of them. On my team alone, I had people who were scientists. I had people who are environmental protection who could have been somewhere else doing anything, but they served the vets. Keep your resume updated. Make sure you're updating that resume. The second thing, learn some new skills. Yeah, this is the age of information. You have YouTube, you have all of these apps. Learn some new skills. You don't even have to go and buy a book or a magazine. It's right at your fingertips now. I believe that there's growth when it comes to reading and actually digesting good information, learning how to throw away the bones and digesting whatever the protein is. Um, Learn some new skills. Number three, have a pivot strategy. Now, in business, a pivot strategy is the business's ability to move and to pivot whenever that business is met by some type of significant challenge. In this case, you may wake up like I did and boom, fired. Have a pivot strategy. Thankfully, we've made some very smart decisions financially. My wife and I, thankfully, I have, different career ambitions in higher education. Thankfully, I am a professor as well. I have a pivot strategy. You have to have a pivot strategy in this type of climate. What is your pivot strategy? What will you do? Put yourself in my shoes. You wake up tomorrow and fired, not performance related. It's not related to the color of your skin. It isn't related to the fact that you've done something bad or there's cutbacks at your local place. No, this thing surprised my entire chain of command. Shout out to the chain of command who's doing all they can to ensure that I'm reinstated and so on. And I thank them for that. But I have to be able to pivot regardless. Number four, be financially responsible. This is not the time to just spend and buy a bunch of stuff. This is the time to look at where there are those subscriptions that you have that just keep running, to look at if there's a need to buy off impulse, which there's never a need to do that, to be financially responsible, to limit how much stuff you acquire and go to purchase and think about needs versus wants. Financial responsibility, it doesn't just focus on the now, but it helps to have a comfortable spot whenever an unforeseen circumstance jumps off. My number five is health. Focus on your health right now. You may be thinking, what does working out have to do with losing your job? When you go through an unforeseen ordeal like this, it's important for you to have your blood in good shape. It's important for your heart to be all right. It's important because the stress level inherently rises. because now you have to look for jobs. Now you have to worry about bills that may not get paid and so on. And if you are in an unhealthy state, you may start to crave some unhealthy things, and that will just tank you. That will tank your performance cognitively. That will also tank your performance physically. You won't feel like doing stuff and you won't feel like it. And this is not the time to become lazy and lethargic, but this is the time to truly get active. Be proactive about your health because you don't know the effects of the hardship. You don't know the effects the hardship may have on your body. You still have to be a dad, a mom. You still have to be a good person. You have to strive to be the best you, even in the worst situation. So take care of your health. Lastly, I just want to say thank you for all of you who've reached out and offered support. Thank you for those who've been praying for my family. Thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Continue praying. That's one thing we know how to do is pray. We know how to pray and seek God's counsel, not just in times like this, but also in the good times. This is a challenging time, yes, but I'm skilled at adjusting. I'm skilled at rolling with the punches. My heart goes out to some of the individuals I know who are single and their only source of income was their federal employment. They were very excited about getting in the federal system, and before their first year was up, abruptly fired. My heart goes out to them. My heart goes out to the people who are being attacked and negatively impacted by the callous remarks and the callous responses of our neighbors and fellow Americans, because people now look at federal employees as if we are doing something wrong. My heart goes out to them. My advice would be not to pay attention to anyone who's rooted in negativity. Don't pay attention to them. Let them be wrong. Don't argue. Forget it. You know what you've done. I hope that gives context to what was going on. I'll get on here and put a few updates here and there, but for the most part, it's time to go to work. I still have children to raise. I still have a wife to love, bills to pay. I still have papers to grade. I have a lot of students. But it's just a part of life. It's a part of what we have to deal with in change. Change doesn't feel good all of the time. And the measure of who you are, it'll be revealed in how you respond to certain changes. Take care, everybody. If you want to support us, if you want to be an inspiration to three young boys who enjoy getting on here with their old dad, go ahead and subscribe. It's all positive content. All right. Take care.